when you're talking about this, are you thinking from the point of view of like the public, the consumer writ large, or are you thinking of the point of view of like creative in media and in ads and in, you know, what we do?
I think it's all blending. Because if you know, the consumer could be the person who amplifies the brand that somebody can't actually think about what they would have done anyway, and that's why we have somebody who has influence that does it.
Right.
Because they're using these tools to say, I've done 10,000 versions of this bloody thing, how do I make it feel more magical?
Yeah.
And so it's a very different paradigm than, you know, agencies could learn that, but this is the time to do that as opposed to outsource it all. So I think it's all of it. Because I don't separate them. They're all the same to me.
Right.
And a lot of people that consume brands are also wanting to be an expression of that brand. So are these tools helping them? Probably.
Right.
But the brands themselves need to be, they've been lazy. They need to be much smarter about how they actually want to emulate this.
Right.
I mean, look at the rubbish, and not to bring it up because I'm sure you've talked about it 10,000 times, Balenciaga, what a vomit.
Right.
You know, how completely off color for a brand that was, what a beautiful name, Balenciaga.
Right.
And to turn around and just pillage that thing in a way that makes, I would never wear it.
Yeah.
Ever again.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many other brands that I think are just way more in tune.
Yes.
And it took them forever to apologize. It's like, oh, actually, we blamed everybody, but the truth is it was us. That's completely off color. But what they were trying to do was express their brand differently in a crowded place. And Balenciaga versus Gucci is kind of the discussion that really needed to be happening. Right. Everybody's waiting for them to fall.
Right.
But the truth is, the way that they approached it was just completely off.
Right.
So they had the tools, they just executed on it badly.
Right.
In that instance, they should be just course correcting, creating a lot more interesting ideas that could be tested and then amplified if they start to work, as opposed to a high polished idea. It emulates everywhere. It doesn't work. They've got to pull it back. They have nothing to replace it with. It feels like it's an expression of the brand, and so it's a mess.
Right.
Which becomes a massive opportunity.
Yeah. And so is that because there's a lack of creative consciousness? Is that because there's a lack of creativity right now?
Yeah, I think so.
So these directors, these creative directors are just, maybe they're afraid of losing their job, and so they're afraid of like trying something new or going outside the box or having a real POV, and so it gets watered down into this idea.
Yeah.
Or what do you think is behind that, I guess?
More is more is behind that.
Okay.
And we're in a popularity contest. I mean, it used to be, remember, back in the day, I've been reflecting on this recently because I'm concerned that, you know, when we have a computer, it has memory. It doesn't have a memory.
Right.
It has a storage, and we happen to call it memory.
Right.
So we're trying to create this sort of connection to this thing. But I was also thinking about, you know, back in the day, you would have a circle of friends.
Yeah.
And you have a circle of friends today. It's probably relatively small. And you have your social footprint. There's a circle of friends. And then suddenly you had followers.
Yeah.
That was very different than friends.
Right.
And then suddenly followers have become friends.
Right.
But we're still in this popularity contest.
Yes.
And so there's this more is more mentality.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of gross.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I don't think it doesn't necessarily mean I have a deeper empathy for a brand or affiliation for a brand because it has more followers. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for more value.
Yeah.